Today is the last stop on the Authors Are Rockstars tour, and I forgot my sunglasses, so I just look like the tour accountant is what's going on today. I'm Daniel Marks, if you don't know who I am. I am the author of Velveteen, comes out October 9th from Random House Children's Books. And I YouTube vlog. I'm a vlogger. I'm on my YouTube channel quite a bit, as well as I vlog for YA Rebels, kind of around. I'm used to talking to cameras, rather than even writing, frankly, because I do it so much. But, I mean, obviously I write some books. And have no purpose. So Cassie here at Citrus Reads has graciously, probably regrettably, agreed to host the final day of the Authors of Rockstars tour. And so I'm here to talk about stuff, like my book, or whatever. I don't care. I have 9 questions. Let's see. I just got a Voya review that said it was violent, morbid, and crass. Can I just use those 3? I love those things. You know what? It was originally a middle grade novella that I worked around Louisa, who's a secondary character in Velveteen, and she was on a hunt for a serial killer. He got her instead of the other way around, and she ended up in purgatory. I let my goddaughter read it, and she finished and was like, "You have no business in middle grade." So I bumped it up to YA, changed the protagonist, and yeah, it's that one now. So world building is always difficult because you want to layer in as much stuff as you can, particularly in Velveteen, which is not an urban fantasy per se, but it's more like building an entire world out of like pieces of our world, but it's not really set here. So it's tough. I wanted it to look very gritty and ashen and sort of like the inside of a horrific dream, and I think that worked kind of well. My process is that I do some research around visual stuff that I like. I wanted stuff to look really tattered and papery. I looked at really old images of like Havana in Cuba, things like I really liked Havana. There's sort of way things kind of look there. The sort of downtrodden, hurricane blasted look of somewhere that could not rebuild itself. And that's, yeah, world building. I don't think that a story like Velveteen, which is a exploration of vulnerability and anger and the place that a person can go, the horrible lengths that you can go to sort of escape that. I don't think you could do that with a male character. Also, typically serial killers target women and girls, and that's a horrible part of life, but that's kind of how it goes. The premise was always going to be serial killer's victim seeks revenge from purgatory. So, yeah. It wasn't really all that challenging. I was a psychotherapist for 12 years, and during that time, the majority of my clients were female, and so there was a shorthand, kind of of mannerisms and speech that sort of came naturally, really. And yes, I agree. I agree. It's very graphic. I think that way. But the language that I use to describe things may seem very adult and may seem very disturbing and really kind of harsh. And it is sort of I consider it upper YA. But at the same time, in terms of censorship and whether or not it is unsuitable for younger readers, I was reading much more disturbing stuff when I was in 3rd grade. You know, it really depends on the kid, and I think it should be the kid's decision whether they read it or not. Parents like to try to exert control and I think that's good over certain things when it comes to safety. Reading and words and being able to process information should be something that is praised, regardless of what the content is. I think that a parent should be much more concerned about a child not reading and becoming stupid than reading things that might be objectionable. The biggest thing that a child needs to learn is how to deal with conflict. Books that that really stretch their imagination and make them question how they would deal with things are helping them to build up the skills necessary to live in a world that has a lot of conflict. And so censorship in itself actually works towards disabling youth from learning the things that they need to do to live a life. My thoughts on censorship. Evil, right? It's evil. My favorite character is Logan. I mean, I love being in Velveteen because she's so sort of dark and disturbed, and that's really fun to write. Logan, however, is crazy to write. He is 12 years old. He is a gas huffer. He is a card shark, and he has incredibly bad, violent tendencies, which is super fun. Super fun. Plus, he gets to wear a Grover costume through the majority of the book. What's not fun about that? Bonesaw actually comes from an Interpol song, Roland, and I don't even know if the words are correct. I never actually looked up the lyrics. Every time I heard it in my headphones, the opening of the song went, Roland was a butcher, he had 60 knives. And that became sort of the centerpiece. I was like, yeah, that's him. That's Bonesaw. Bonesaw was always the name, too. It was like, okay, yeah, it's going to be Bonesaw. And I don't really draw a lot from crime shows or TV. I'm a huge horror fan, and I love movies about serial killers, and surely, but what I'm really interested in with serial killers is the normalcy of them, the normality of their lives versus the interior of them, which is so damaged and disturbing. And so I wanted to create a character that had some really disturbing fixations, and yet his life on the surface looked completely normal. And he looks completely normal. So, yeah, that's that. A Velveteen sequel, there isn't one currently in the works. There is plans for two more, which my editor has seen, and she likes both of them. However, when we sold the book, and I'm not sure how on Goodreads it shows that there's a Velveteen 2 and 3 coming, because those are not part of the contract. Velveteen 1 was sold, and then the second book is a to be determined book, which is a horror standalone that I'm working on now called The Stains, which is, I think, crazy and insane, and I love it. And then there are two, Visqueen and Valuria were the sequels to Velveteen, and hopefully, depending on how Velveteen sells, we can go forward with those. I would love for that to happen because there's some really cool stuff planned for those. I think that if you read well, and by well, I mean stuff that is really the best of the genre that you're writing in, also outside of the genre, read some really good writing and incorporate that into your storytelling. Just sort of understand story, enmesh yourself in the idea of story and storytelling. I think that's really important. The other thing is find a critique group or a critique partner that's not afraid to call you on your crap, because I think a lot of people I think a lot of writers are afraid to hear bad stuff about their writing because they think it's going to impact their ego and they won't be able to write anymore. I'm not sure if that's it, um, or if they just like having people lie to them. Like you give your family a certain amount of stuff to read, but they're always like, "Yeah, I love it. I love it. You're good. You're good." They are not to be trusted. They're not to be. You've got to find someone who can say, "You need to fix this, this, and this. This works. Keep doing this." That's what you need. That's what every writer needs. And once you get to a place where you can accept that kind of criticism, you're much better positioned to try to get published. And that's it. If you're watching this on my YouTube channel, you are going to need to go to Citrus Reads, and I'll leave the link in the down bar to enter any giveaways, things like that. And go there anyway. Just visit her, say hello, leave me a comment, that kind of stuff. That is it, though. And there will be a giveaway. So bye. Bye. Oh, and pick up Velveteen on October 9th from Delacorte, please. And from me. It's like a gift from me to you, to your black little heart.